All right, how we doing, folks? So we're doing an IPA today, and this one is actually called Emergency IPA because I had a bit of a flaw with the Kentucky Common that I did. We'll get into that a little bit later, but it sort of either my blow-off hose wasn't connected properly on the ball lock, and the collection jar on the bottom wasn't quite tight enough. So what happened is I think the pressure built up because I noticed it was fermenting really fast. And I just don't think it was able to blow off. And then the pressure built up, and with the jar not being as tight as it should have been, actually it's a good thing because it just blew the wort all over the inside of my freezer. So that happened a day and a half after I made the beer. So last night I quickly came up with a recipe of stuff that I had, hop-wise and barley-wise. And I've been wanting to make another IPA, New England IPA. This is sort of a hazy New England IPA because I only have 8 ounces of flaked oats. And so that's all I'm going to be able to put in because I don't have anything else to put in it. So this is what we're going to be doing today, folks. So I'll get over on the recipe here. So we are using 8.4 gallons of distilled water. We are doing 12 pounds of two-row. We're doing 3 pounds of Pilsner. We're doing 8 ounces of Carafoam and 8 ounces of the flaked oats. We're going to mash at 154, mash out at 168, doing a 60-minute boil. And we are adding, at 60 minutes, we're adding a half an ounce of Magnum hops. At 20 minutes, we're going to add a 1/4 ounce of Chinook and a 1/4 ounce of Mosaic hops. Then at flame out, we're going to add a half ounce of Mosaic and a 1/4 ounce of Chinook hops. And then we're going to dry hop. After fermentation is complete, I'm going to pull the yeast, and then I'm going to add 2 ounces of Mosaic hops and 1.5 ounces of Chinook. And we are using SO4. So that's what we got, because that's all I got. So we're going to see what happens when we make this beer. So we added 10 grams of calcium chloride, 4.8 gypsum, 3.2 Epsom salts, and 2.8 salt. Got this set up sort of backwards so you guys can actually see what the hell I'm doing, and I'm not looking at my rear end. So I'm trying to get used to it because I'm not used to the way it's set up right now. So we're up to our strike temp. I'm going to start adding in our All right, so we're pulling the basket, heating the kettle up at least till below boil, and letting this drain. We'll get our gravity in a minute here, and we'll see where we are. So it's 1056. We're 2 down. All right, so we're adding our first edition of Magnums. And they're in. We're adding a 1/4 ounce of Chinook and a 1/4 ounce of Mosaic. 20 minutes left in the boil. And in 5 minutes, we will add our yeast nutrient. We are at flame out. So our last addition was a 1/2 ounce of Mosaic and a 1/4 ounce of Chinook. Yep. All right, so I just finished doing a whirlpool. I'm just letting the trub settle out, and I took a gravity reading, and we're at 107.2, which is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And I'm supposed to have 5.5 gallons in the kettle, and I got 5 1/4. Actually, a little bit more than 5 1/4. So, what's in the pump and the hoses? You got probably exactly what I'm supposed to have. So this one's looking good. So we are going to get it into the fermenter shortly, and then we'll be adding the yeast a little bit later when we get it cooled down. So the next day I added my yeast. It took a good day to get my yeast starter finished. I'd like to add here that I added 2-liter starter, and which brought my gravity down to about 106.8, 106.7. So next time I'm just going to decant the top of the yeast starter and just add the slurry in. And then after making sure that my blow-off hose was connected properly and my jar was nice and snug, we got it back into the cooler and let her ferment. And 24 hours later, we got a good fermentation going. All right, guys, how's it going? So we're back after the brew day fermentation. I kegged the Emergency IPA 3 days ago, I think it was. Today's the 3rd. I did it on the 30th, so 4 days ago. So, as you know, well, maybe you don't, but at the beginning of the video, it described the reason why I made this IPA and the reason why I call it Emergency IPA, because my Kentucky Common that I made, for some reason, which I think I figured out, leaked out of the fermenter and all over the fridge that I ferment in, and also all over the floor of the basement. So that one was a flop. And so we had to go with a different one. And what I had in the house in order to make a beer is what I came up with. So that's why I keep extra grains and stuff around and hops, because I always might need an emergency beer to make. So we finished out with a 7.5% beer. I mentioned a little bit ago, the original gravity when it was placed into the fermenter was at 1072. I added a 2-liter starter. And by the time the starter is going in, even though you usually do a 1036 starter, but obviously 24 hours later, the yeast has already been eating all that sugar. So that's going in, anywhere between probably 1012 and 1020. I didn't actually take a gravity reading of it, but that's, but I'm sure that's where it was going in. So what it ends up doing is it dilutes the gravity of my wort. So estimating, I used like a calculator because I didn't actually take the gravity of after the yeast starter was put in. So it should have been around a 1068. So that, even though my starting gravity, original gravity was spot on, it was supposed to be 1072 and it came out to 1072. We actually started out at 1068 after adding the starter. And somebody else, somebody make a comment, because I just realized, even though I'm adding wort that is down to 10, 12, 10, 15, 10, 20 or something like that, I'm also adding in alcohol. So if somebody has a calculator that maybe figures that out, that would actually give me a more precise gravity reading and a more precise alcohol at the end, the ABV, because I just dawned on me. So anyways, and then it finished up at 1012. It was supposed to finish up at 1020. So obviously it would have been a 7% beer, but it came out at 7.5%. So my estimated attenuation was supposed to be 71%, and my measured attenuation was 81%. So obviously the yeast that I used, which was SO4, ate up a lot of those sugars and ate up a lot more than it probably should have. So anyways, all right. So when I pitched the yeast, temperature was 59 degrees. I pitched the yeast at 59, and then I just let it free rise up to 65. And I kept it at 65 for the duration of fermentation. And it jumped between 65 and 67. I got a 2 or 3 degree range in my Inkbird, so it'll go up like 2 or 3 degrees before it starts to cool back down. So it fermented out in, after cold crash, it was 12 days. I kegged it, pressure carbonated it for 24 hours, like I usually do at 30 psi. Bang it down to about 11 psi, and usually that's all it needs. I mean, usually lately that's the way I've been doing it, and it's been coming out really well. Carbonation levels are usually pretty good, so I'm going to continue to do it that way. So as I said earlier, this was a Emergency IPA. I put it in my Beersmith as a New England IPA. We'll get into that a little bit. But it meets all the requirements for a New England IPA. So the original gravity is right in tune. The IBU range, because these IBUs, all right, so the IBUs are 47, and that runs right into the range. Final gravity, we're right in there. Actually, it looks like if my final gravity was a 1020, that's out of range. Final gravity for New England IPA, according to the guidelines, is 1010 to 1015. So actually, because it fermented out more than it should have, we fall right into the guidelines. And it does not. The color range, it's a 5.1 SRM, falls right into the range. And I don't have the ABV range, but obviously if my starting gravity and my finished gravity fall into the range, my ABV does also. So we used 12 pounds 2-row, we used 3 pounds Pilsner, we used 8 ounces of Carafoam, and we used 8 ounces of flaked oats. We mashed at 154 We mashed out at 168. I did a 75-minute mash. I actually think I may have cut it a little bit short, but only by a few minutes. We did a half ounce of Magnum hops at 60 minutes. Those were 16% alpha acids that I put in. 0.25 ounces of Chinook at 20. Those were 11%. 0.25 ounces of Mosaic at 20. Those were 11.9%. At flame out, we did a half ounce of Mosaic and a quarter ounce of Chinook. And then we dry hopped with Mosaic and Chinook. We dry hopped 5 days in. Fermentation was pretty much done. It started to level out. Dropped the trub. I added my hops, my Mosaic and Chinook for the dry hop. Left them on that for another 7 days. And that's when I kegged the beer. So I guess we'll get into the tasting here. You saw me pour it at the beginning here, but the head's obviously gone down a little bit. But as you can see, nice cloudy beer. It's that nice gold straw color. It's got a beautiful white head, which, as you can see, oops, I'm not even in the thing here. You can see it's, it clinging right to the glass here. So, visual wise, it looks pretty good. Aroma wise, oh God, you can smell those hops. Those things are good. Yeah. Good hops. So you're getting that tropical. I just, Mosaic hops I love. So a little pineapple, a very touched pineapple I'm getting. Lots of tropical fruit. Not the citrusy type. It's more of like the pineapple, mango. Maybe a touch of orange. Really good aroma, especially when you first pour the glass, because then the aromas are really starting to come out. Mouth feels good. I originally had this, when I had this a couple of days ago, I actually felt that it was a little thin. It needed a little more body. This glass here, actually, I think is a lot better. Maybe it just needed a couple days to develop a little bit more. But mouth feels good. Let's go over the taste here. Or as the apartment brewer says, let's go in for the taste. It's good. You're getting those tropical fruits in the flavor. Not a huge amount compared to the aroma. The aroma, obviously, especially with your dry hopping, the aroma is going to be a little bit more abundant than maybe those flavors. At least that's my experience. But came out really well. It holds, that's a good haze. I was tossing in between if this was considered a hazy IPA and a New England IPA. I guess it fell more into the New England classification than a hazy. But again, it turned out really good. I'm really pleased with it. For in a pinch, and I didn't go back to an old recipe that I had. I just, I looked at what I had down here in the basement, and I just made whatever I had available to me, what I thought was going to come out good, and did a good job. I think this one came out really well. So, you guys like and subscribe. All that, but I'd really like to get some more new subscribers. I got a good bunch of people that are following. Been getting quite a few comments. Appreciate it. I get back to everybody as quickly as I can. It takes me a day or two even to realize that I got comments, because Sometimes I get busy and I don't get a chance to get into YouTube and look to see what's going on. My videos have been picking up my, analytics that, YouTube uses. I've really picked up. So I really appreciate you guys, watching the videos, liking the videos, making comments, and the more that I can get, the better. I'd like to expand some content. And with that, I'm going to need, more subscribers. So sort of one goes hand in hand, with the other. So, again, like and subscribe. Watch these videos to the end. Apparently that matters. I don't know why, but it does. Make a New England IPA. We're calling, as I said, Emergency IPA. It was an emergency. We had to make it. Got to keep the videos going, man. And then if you can, get these buffalo chicken crunchy things. I got these at the store the other day, and these things are good. They're crunchy. A little spice to them. Could be hotter, but they're still good. So, cheers, guys. I think I'm done.
$105, 110.25.